Hello, my name is Javier Perez, also known as Javitech. So I will be walking you through the project of Platzi challenge for the food delivery service app. This is a challenge for New Relic and GitHub. So this is the project. So let's go directly to the tags, to the requirements. So the first requirement is the application must have one restaurant that features food from your country. So this is my application. I create a new cuisine. In this case, is Colombian, and this is the restaurant that I created. I added the price, the rating, the description, the name, the picture, and I also add a typical Colombian food here, like bandeja paisa, ajiaco, arepa, empanadas, and so on. So that's the first task that's completed. The second one says the application must have some design changes from the original application, like colors, fonts, photos, and for example. So yeah, this is my application. I changed the colors, the font. I also generated the images using DALI. Uh, so yeah, I also changed, for example, here the original version of the application is in a table in rows. I changed that for the restaurants to be a grid. The same for the menu. Originally, it was like a list. I make some changes to be a table, and yeah, some other minor changes, but overall, that's the tax asked, so I changed that. Uh, the application cannot accept American Express card. This is the third requirement. So in the original application, you can use any card number that you want, MasterCard and any number here, and it works no matter what. So in my application, if I, for example, I use this, I can increase or decrease that's another improvement that wasn't present in the original version of the app. So I include this. So within the checkout, there is no American Express or Amex listed here. Um, so I add here a validation that depending of the credit card, if it starts with a four number, it is considered as Visa. If it starts with five, it's MasterCard, and if it starts with three, it's in any other combination is invalid. If it starts with six, it's a Discover card. So if I use any invalid number, when I try to finish the order, it won't let me. It says only Visa, MasterCard, and Discovery cards are accepted. Please use a valid card. If I change if I change this, for example, with MasterCard, and I try to make the purchase, it also says a different error message, but this is related to the expiration date. I also added this validation, so the expiration date must be in the future from today. So the expiration date of your credit card is in the past. Please update your payment information. If I use, for example, here, month 8 of 24, the order is placed. So that's another validation that I did. The next requirement was you must use Github Copilot to help you build the application. So I started using Github Copilot for asking for explanation of the code, trying to understand the application because as I mentioned before, I'm not that familiar with Angular. So yeah, I use that to get insights of the applications, understand a little bit more on how it was working and for me to make the changes. And eventually I also did this. For example, to create a new restaurant, I used this prompt. Uh, at workspace, create a new restaurant in file restaurant the JSON name, my own cafebreria in Mexican cuisine, having each food item on the menu after a book from the Spanish speaker writer. This was also a bonus task or requirement, so I used the prompting here in GitHub Copilot chat. It returned me the JSON, a valid JSON for the restaurant that JSON file. After I get it in multi-line, I ask it to parse it in one line, so I can copy and paste it in the restaurant.json, and it worked. So yeah, I use it for this. Also, I use it for to configure in Relic, and also OpenTelemetry, and as well the implementation of OpenTelemetry into New Relic. So yeah, I use it for that. Mm, yeah, so the next requirement is you must instrument your application with New Relic using the browser monitoring guide install and the Node.js guide install, that is the APM. So yeah, I did that. So this is my application. Well, this is my application. I can try, for example, to buy some empanadas of beef, 5 beef empanadas. Eventually, they will appear here. Yeah, so this is the browser monitoring. Here we got the browser monitoring. I can refresh this. And at the left, we have the APM. This is the application performance monitoring. So we can see the application name is Food Messy the Dust. So yeah, we can see metrics here. The same for the browser. We can see metrics here, movement up there. I also created for the custom metrics, I created a dashboard where we can see, for example, this query. Let me show you the query that I use. I also generate this query using GitHub Copilot. I asked following this code snippet for the custom metric of New Relic, what query should I use in New Relic to validate that the information is working? And it returned me this information, and it is working. This is for the custom metrics. So this is for the page action, and we also have for the transactions. So yeah, I filtered this out, but yeah, you can see this is newly created. So yeah, it is working. New Relic is working. Okay, so for the bonus tags, the first one was to create a restaurant that sells coffee and empanadas. So I created a new category here in empanada. This is the restaurant that I created. Yeah, so they sell coffee and empanadas. So yeah, it works. So the last bonus tax is for your next bonus tax. I want you to create your own cafeteria and name each food item on the menu after a book from a Spanish speaking writer. I use GitHub Copilot as I mentioned before to create the data for the cafeteria. I place it in the Mexican food. It is this one. Uh, the menu items are Cien años de soledad, empanada, La casa de los espíritus, tacos, pero páramo, quesadillas, El amor en los tiempos de cólera, café. So yeah, I create the cafeteria. This is the last bonus item. There is another bonus tax in the blog post of Platzi for the challenge. Is this one? For this challenge, we encourage you to use Copilot to help you to find errors in the code, so you can solve them. You can understand better how to resolve them. So I can name a few the errors that I found. This is just a list to name a few that I found, but I found many others. But just to name a few, in the description, the menu of the restaurants, first, the picture was fixed. It was always the same picture, so I solved it to have to be dynamic and to have the image specific for each restaurant. So here we have for the German food, and here is the for the French. So yeah, so the fixed image was one error that I found. Another, I will say, error is that the label used or the attribute to call the location of the restaurant in the code, it was address, but address is not an attribute of the object of the restaurant, but location. So I replace it and now it appears the location. Another error that I found, it was that this restaurant, the French restaurant, in the JSON file, the restaurant.json file, it didn't have any cuisine information. So it wasn't possible to filter this restaurant from the options in the left. So yeah, I fixed that. I include the cuisine as French for this restaurant, and now it is filtered out here. So those are some errors that I found, but I found several others. For example, yeah, I also add this card button so we can go directly to the card in case that we want it. So for example, if I take this and check out, another error that was here was that the credit card number was larger than the normal credit card. Also, it wasn't validating the expiration date. So I make some changes here as well to accept valid credit card, only Visa, MasterCard, and Discover, and the expiration date is in the future. I also made some changes in who we are tab. I include my personal information here, my socials, also in how it works. Uh, Sorry, in help. I fixed this information because there was a question that says, "What payment methods do you accept?" It is previously it said all the credit cards, but I include this information that we don't accept American Express, and also about the delivery time. It was fixed to 9 p.m. if I'm not wrong. I modified this information to validate in a specific restaurants for the time of work. So I included here opens at and close at. So those were my changes.